We may one day see terrorism align itself with greater weapons of mass destruction.
Try to imagine what our country would be like after somebody pulls a truck bomb in front of a public school somewhere and kills 3,000 kids.
And think about what a painful life that must be if they think that dying is a release.
My concern is that this war could be lost, not on the battlefields of Iraq or Afghanistan, but rather in the corridors of power in Washington.
It is the single defining moment of our generation.
We will eliminate the threat of terrorism across the planet because in the end, it is a dead end.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime event where you can get the likes of Colonel Oliver North, Newt Gingrich, and Sean Hannity in one room at the same time here in Hawaii. But it happened, and from it we've produced 3 extraordinary interviews about the lives and perspectives of these 3 influential voices in America. It's a time here in America where we need uniting voices the most. It's a time where we're fractured by philosophy and politics, world views. But if there's any time in America that we need to pull together, it's now.
You know, I think the country is sick of red versus blue. I think the country wants red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
The country doesn't want a Republican answer and a Democratic answer and let's fight. The country wants to know, for America, what are our values? What is it we should be trying to achieve? How can we come together to achieve them?
I think America has, and Americans have, an inherent goodness in them. And, you know, while imperfect, we are a generous, kind people.
Yes.
And we have, I don't care where you look in the world, where there's liberty, where there is freedom, there probably was an American soldier. We have paid the price for freedom and liberty, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the financial burden over the years. I think America has paid that price.
Was the right attitude at 10 o'clock Sunday morning, December the 7th, to despair? Or was it to do what President Franklin Delano Roosevelt did? A man, remember, who has polio, is in a wheelchair, walks only because he has leg braces that hold him up because his legs can't. And Roosevelt, the next day, goes to the U.S. Congress, delivers a 6.5-minute speech describing December the 7th as a day that will live in infamy, and says to the American people, I guess we have to roll up our sleeves and go win. Now, presently, at some point in God's due time, we will have a leader who galvanizes the nation like FDR. The freest, most creative, most successful people in history will roll up their sleeves, and we will eliminate the threat of terrorism across the planet, because in the end, it is a dead end. It is a nihilistic hatred of life that leads people to decide that killing themselves in order to kill you is a reasonable future.
You know, we've now had 3,500 or thereabouts killed in this war. And that's a terrible loss. Every one of those lives is precious to their families and to the war.
Yes.
But you know, it's the lowest casualty rate of any war America's ever fought. Now, I get criticized a lot by my colleagues in the media for saying that. And my answer to them is, once you've held a few dying Marines in your arms, you can go ahead and criticize me. But in reality, these youngsters know it's terribly dangerous. They know that every day they walk out on one of those patrols outside a fixed base, an IED, a suicide bomber, something terrible can happen. And they do it day in and day out. In some cases, these soldiers going out of, Fort Shafter from the 25th ID, 13 months. National Guardsmen called up for 15 and 16 months. And they do it day after day after day. And then they volunteer to go back and do it again. That's the story that needs to be told.